welcome back to Food Prep Guide. We are back with another pantry challenge video. Today we are going to be processing whole chickens. I'm actually going to be processing two, but only one will fit in my air fryer at a time, so I'm just going to show one. Typically a rotisserie style chicken is not a very frugal meal for our family because it's just not very filling for 5 people. So what I normally do is I do 2 chickens at a time. I shred the meat, and I try to use that to make 3 meals, and then use the scraps to make chicken broth, can it up, and then that's good for use for future meals. So for this chicken, I usually don't season it too much because I'm not 100% sure what type of meals I'm going to be using it in, but I'll typically use garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And I don't measure, I just get a, kind of equal amounts garlic and onion, but you can season this however you want. If I were doing a rotisserie bird, I would add paprika and Italian seasoning. But this is just to coat it good and give it some flavor. Okay, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And then I'm just going to take some olive oil, just going to spray it down. Oops, this thing doesn't want to spray good. I'll try another one. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, and once it's coated really good, I'll just mix up the seasoning that we have here and just rub it on. Okay, we are back with clean hands, and I also realized I forgot my microphone in that previous clip, so the sound quality is probably not the best. Sorry about that, but we got it on now. So then once the chicken is ready to go, I'm going to put it in my air fryer. Okay, washing my hands again. Okay, so I'm going to hit the chicken button, and it automatically, my air fryer automatically does it at 390 degrees. I have also done it at 365 degrees before. A lot of air fryers are different, so just go by your manual or your preset. And I'm going to be doing this for 30 minutes on one side, and then I'm going to flip the bird, and then oh goodness, I'm not going to flip the bird, I promise. I'm going to flip the chicken and do it for another 35 minutes on that side. And I might have to cook it again some more. I don't know, I'll check it, but when I come back to show you the finished product, I'll let you know exactly how long I had to do it on each side. Okay, we'll pick up then. Bye. Okay friends, we're done with the air fryer. I ended up not having to cook it as long as I thought. I ended up cooking the chicken at 390 degrees, 30 minutes on one side, flipping it 20 minutes on the other, and it was perfectly done. I shredded it as I always do whenever I'm trying to stretch meals. I actually ran this chicken through the blender to get it really fine, and that just helps it stretch even further. Now that I see how much I have, I am confident we'll be able to get 3 full meals out of it. And don't forget, well, behind this Instant Pot, I have a crock pot, and that's where all the bones are in. And don't forget, we are also making chicken broth. So out of those 2 chickens, we are getting 3 meals, and I'll probably end up with about 8 pints of chicken broth canned up, well, on the shelf. So tonight's supper is Ritz chicken. It's basically a casserole where you mix shredded chicken with mayonnaise and cheese and then season it. We normally do like a garlic and herb seasoning, and then top it with a Ritz cracker crumble. I normally serve that with a French onion rice. It is delicious, but since I am wanting to use a little bit less chicken than normal, this is a really meaty dish normally, and I'm wanting to stretch this. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to make the French onion rice, but I'm going to, instead of serving it as a side dish to that main chicken casserole, I'm going to mix the French onion rice in with the chicken casserole and make it a chicken and rice casserole. It's going to fill a 9x13 dish all the way to the pan, which is going to be plenty for my family of 5 with leftovers for lunch tomorrow. Okay, so first we need to make the French onion soup. It's really easy. It's just 1 cup of rice, a 1/4 cup of melted butter, which I don't melt it first. We're doing it in the Instant Pot. If you were going to be doing it on the stovetop, you would want to melt it first. 1 can of French onion soup, 1 can of beef broth. I use this beef broth powder, so I would do 2 teaspoons of beef broth powder mixed with 1 cup of water, and a teaspoon of garlic, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get this popped in here real quick. We need 1 cup of rice. I normally do like a heaping cup. And the butter. which we don't have to melt first. The can of French onion soup. We are really hoping to grow enough onions this year to be able to make our own French onion soup and can it up a year's supply worth. So prayerfully that will work. Okay. Can of beef broth, which I'm using beef broth powder, so I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of beef broth powder and 1 cup of water. Let me grab the water real quick. And 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. If you have garlic powder, you can use that. If you have the dried garlic, and you can use that. And of course, fresh chopped garlic would work too. We like garlic, so I usually do a huge heaping teaspoon of that. And that's it, y'all. I'm gonna give it a good mix, just to get the rice nice and coated inside that French onion soup. Okay, we're gonna close this lid, lock it, seal it so it's airtight, and we are going to pressure cook 6 minutes. Start, good to go on that. So that's going to process for about 15 or 20 minutes or so before that's done. So we have some time before we need to prep the casserole, and I'll be back when I'm doing that. Okay, the pressure cooker just went off about 5 minutes ago. I'm gonna let it just do a natural release. While we're waiting on the natural release, let's go ahead and get going on the casserole. We are not far at all from going ahead and popping it in the oven, so I'm going to preheat to 350. Now, I usually don't measure the chicken to mayonnaise, but I really want to give y'all a good solid recipe to go off of, so I'm thinking about 3 cups. And what I'm picturing is, I know that this size of this rice is going to come up about halfway up the height of the 9x13 pan, so I'm basically wanting to fill it up with chicken to reach half. And then together with the rice, it's going to make a full pan. So we're at 3 cups. Let's do 1 more cup. So it's going to be 4 cups of this crumbled, shredded chicken. Okay, and to that 4 cups, let's add 2 cups of mayonnaise and see. I'm not going to measure. Let's add 2 cups of mayonnaise and see how it looks. Okay, that's about 1 cup. And that's about 2 cups. You basically just want enough to get a creamy consistency. And once this is mixed with the rice and the seasonings and all that, it's not going to be like you're eating a glob of mayonnaise. It's just going to be a nice, creamy, filling kind of. This would probably be easier to mix in a mixing bowl. But I'm one of those people that's like, if I don't have to dirty up an extra dish, I'm not going to. So if I can cook in as few dishes, if I can dirty up as few dishes as possible, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Let's season that. We always like to season this with a roasted garlic and herb seasoning, or like a Mrs. Dash all-purpose seasoning. Just season it however your family likes it. Usually about a tablespoon. Maybe half a tablespoon. Okay, our rice has been doing a natural release for probably 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and release it. Listen for that valve to come down. And then you'll want to use a whisk to kind of fluff the rice. Okay, here we go. Here's what that rice looks like. Light, nice and brown. That's soaking up all of that yummy French onion soup. We're just going to pour that directly into our chicken mixture and then mix it up directly into our pan. Oh, that French onion mixture smells so good. I'm going to use a spatula to smooth it down. I forgot to mention, you don't want to overfill the casserole dish because we are doing a Ritz cracker crumble on top. Forgot to mention that. So even though this is not all the way to the top, that's a good thing. Okay, now we're just going to take Ritz crackers and just crumble them on top of our dish. If this were not a pantry challenge, I would melt some butter and drizzle that melted butter over the top of these Ritz crackers just to get some extra buttery taste, because we love butter around here. But since it's a pantry challenge, I'm not going to do that. I need to go easy on the butter to make it last as long as possible. Whenever it runs out, we'll use ghee. But if you need something that calls for butter and you don't have it on hand, you can use coconut oil. It's good too. This usually takes 1.5 sleeves of Ritz crackers, but that's, again, personal preference. If you really like that cracker crust, you might want to go 2 sleeves. If you're not a big fan, you might want to go 1 sleeve. Okay, I'm gonna call that good to go. And we are going to pop this in the oven and bake it for 35 minutes. I'm going to check it around the 20-minute mark just to make sure we're not browning the crackers too quickly. But I've always pretty much cooked it right around 30 minutes. So that's it. Ritz casserole, Ritz chicken casserole. But this time we stretched it with rice, which we flavored with French onion soup. So this is kind of like a French onion Ritz casserole. Hope you enjoy, guys. Bye.